Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, it is a Victory Friday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast as the Tennessee Titans engineer a miraculous comeback in the second half to beat the San Francisco 49ers 20-17 on Thursday Night Football. A big-time win for the Titans. We're going to break it all down on today's show. First, I'm going to give you my big picture takeaways on offense and defense. Then we're going to zoom in, look at the individual performances, both good and bad, and everybody's favorite segment, Tighten Up and Tighten Down. And then finally, we'll take a look at the AFC landscape, talk about the Pro Bowl voting and the snubs that the Tennessee Titans received, and got to talk about my incredible ability to reverse jinx the Tennessee Titans into wins. All of that and more on a Victory Friday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Let's get it!
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
When all hope was lost, the Tennessee Titans losing 10-0 at halftime, the offense looking absolutely pitiful. All of that just for this team in the biggest moment to be as resilient as possible. And what else should we expect from this ball club? We're going to break down everything that took place in this game. I'm going to start with my big picture takeaways on offense and defense. Before we get into it, though, do got to tell you that today's show is sponsored by On Location. On Location is the official hospitality partner of the NFL. It's the only place you can score a once-in-a-lifetime Super Bowl ticket and experience package. Visit onlocationexp.com/SB56 for more information, or just search Super Bowl On Location. Also, have to thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. If this is your first ever listen to the Locked On Titans podcast, you gotta subscribe on whatever platform you do stream so you don't miss any of the daily, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content that I will be pumping out not only during the regular season, not only during the playoffs, but all year long. Make sure you check out the podcast on video at the Locked On Titans YouTube channel. Subscribe over there and smash that notification bell so you know when all of my content goes live. Want to check me out on social media, on Twitter, at TicTacTitans for all my film breakdowns and my film analysis. Check out the show Facebook page at Locked On Titans Pod. And if you are inclined to do so, throw a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts for the show. It is greatly appreciated. But with all of that said, time to break down this game. 20-17. I did not think that this could happen. And I invite everybody watching on YouTube, you want to tag me on Twitter, go ahead and get the dunks in, baby. As I say all the time, I would rather be wrong and the Titans win than the other way around. But the reverse jinx power continues to be strong for me with my game picks for the Titans. And, it didn't look like I was going to be wrong to start. The Titans are down 10-0 at halftime, and quite frankly, the offense was absolutely pitiful. And despite the fact the Titans did win this game, I am still not happy about the offensive play calling from Todd Downing, but we'll talk about that in our second conversation and Tighten Up, Tighten Down. But overall, despite the 0 points in the first half, the Titans turned it on. There's no other way around it. They get the field goal coming out of halftime on the opening drive. They get the turnover on the Amani Hooker interception. They turn that into a touchdown run. Then A.J. Brown explodes on a drive. Huge 50-yard catch, huge touchdown catch as well to get the Titans their second touchdown. And then, of course, Ryan Tannehill steps up in the clutch. Take that, Tannehill haters! Tannehill was great in this game. He did everything he could to drag this Titans team along when possible. And Tannehill got on his legs and took the ball down in the scoring range. And Randy Bullock just barely, bulletproof Bullock, put the ball in the uprights for the Titans. Final score, the field goal that put them on top with 4 seconds left. I mean, just absolutely incredible stuff from the Titans offense in the second half. Once they really opened it up and started playing NFL offense and getting the ball to AJ and throwing the ball on first down, throwing out a shotgun against this banged up, young, terrible secondary for the 49ers. 2-2 in the red zone. Got to give a lot of credit to Todd Downing there. When he got into the red zone, he got scores, and that was super, super important for an offense that was struggling. 9 for 16 on third downs. The Titans actually looked better on offense than they've looked in quite some time if you throw out the Jags game, which I'm going to do because they're not an NFL team. And a lot of that had to do with the protection. Ryan Tannehill got sacked 4 times, but on a lot of pass plays, he had the time. And you got to talk about the rookie, Dylan Radins. I mean, even more panic than I displayed on the game preview because Kendall Lamb got ruled out with COVID. So you were without Roger Saffold. You're without Taylor Lewan. And then you lose Kendall Lamb and Dylan Radins, who they've been hiding in a closet all year long, finally got to play. And they had to move Nick Bosa to the other side to go against Quessenberry because Dylan Radins was shutting him down. Whoa! Let's go, Dylan Radins. Incredible stuff. So the Titans offense, terrible in the first half, but once they start getting the ball to A.J. Brown, everything started to open up. 20 points in the second half. Great job from the Titans offense. And for that defense, I mean, the defense continues to keep the Titans in these games when they get nothing going in the first half. The defense got 2 turnovers on the day. They stopped the 49ers on 4th down on one drive, and that's essentially a 3rd turnover cause. That's how I view it. When the Titans were playing terrible in the first half, the 49ers on their first 3 drives, that first drive, Kyle Shanahan is one of the most gifted play callers in NFL history. They have a great scheme. Deebo Samuel is a really good player. George Kittle is a really good player. So San Francisco, like a hot knife through butter, took the ball down the field to score that opening touchdown. But on their second drive, Jackrabbit Jenkins with a big interception in the end zone. The 49ers were only 2 of 4 in the red zone on the day. The 49ers are the number 1 team in red zone touchdown percentage in the NFL this year. And the Titans held them to 2 for 4, way below, like 20 points below their regular red zone average. 3 of 8 on third downs. For the San Francisco 49ers offense, the Titans got 2 sacks, one from Autry, one from Bud Dupree, held the 49ers to 83 rushing yards. And what did I say on the game preview? The 49ers, when they don't rush for 100 yards, do not win. If you hold them under 100 rushing yards, you will win the game, and that is exactly what the Tennessee Titans did. So a great job there. Again, the 2 turnovers, that turnover in the second half got the Titans their first touchdown of the game, made the game 10-10, just absolutely huge by Amani Hooker. So holding up in the first half, getting the San Francisco 49ers to only 10 points on those first 3 drives, and then continuing to get the job done. They shut down George Kittle. George Kittle was a non-factor. And if not for Christian Fulton having one of his worst games of the year, the Titans would have shut down Deebo Samuel as well. But he really got off because he is an excellent player, and he really put the work on Fulton. But we'll talk about that and tighten up and tighten down. But overall, I mean, just what a massive win. What an incredible reverse jinx by me. I pulled out the sit-em talk early in the week to make sure that the Titans could get this win because nothing can drive the Titans to a victory like me saying that they are going to lose. All jokes aside, man, what a big win. What an exciting win. Everything looked terrible in the Titans, just as they seem to do when their backs are against the wall. They turn things around, and we're going to talk at the end of the show just how big this win was for the playoffs. The Titans felt that lead slipping out of their hands. The Colts were only 1 game back, 2 when you consider the season sweep. But, I mean, the Colts are playing great football, maybe some of the best football in the NFL. The Titans have been playing their worst football of the season. And to come back and win that game when it looked like there was no chance they could going into these last 2 weeks against the Dolphins and the Houston Texans, I mean, just incredible stuff. With that win, not only are the Tennessee Titans in the driver's seat for the AFC South once again and really feeling good about it, not just being there, but feeling good about it, but they're right back in it for a chance at the number 1 seed. And with everything going on this weekend, which I will explain at the end of the show, it's not a terrible chance that the Titans could ultimately be the number 1 seed at the end of the weekend. But there's a lot to talk about in this show. Incredible comeback victory for the Titans, 20-17. Get your dunks in down in the comments. Throw a like on the video as well. But we're going to get in to tighten up and tighten down, talk about the individual performances that stood out to me in this game, both good and bad. Before we do, got to tell you guys about Built Bar. Built Bars are the best tasting protein bars in the galaxy. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. Get it? Best protein bars in the galaxy, best of both worlds get too nerdy. Let's continue. There's so many flavors to choose from. Cookies and cream, peanut butter, brownie, salted caramel. Those are three of my favorite flavors. Any of the crunch bars that they have with that nice texture on top, a good crunch. They got the puff bars, especially the marshmallowy ones that are so good right now. You dip them in hot chocolate. It is an excellent guilt-free holiday snack. Built Bars are going to give you that extra fuel you need to complete all of your holiday tasks. You're running from store to store. You're going to the mall over and over. You got 20 holiday parties to go to. Throw a couple Built Bars in your jacket pocket. Throw them in your purse. Give you that boost and that energy you need to get everything done. Make sure that you tell Santa Claus to bring you some Built Bars, and you never know, you might wake up on Christmas morning with some of them in your stocking. Make sure that you go to built.com right now. Use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Once again, that's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Also, have to tell you guys about Stat Hero. No one plays daily fantasy sports to lose. Winning feels so much better, but traditional fantasy sports are a long-term losing proposition because you never know who or what you're up against. Stat Hero is the first of its kind daily fantasy sports platform where it's you against the house in a head-to-head fantasy matchup. Winner takes all. Birdman hand rub. And here's the crazy part. Stat Hero shows you their lineup before you play, and you handpick the team you want to face one-on-one. This never-before-seen innovation for the fantasy sports and sports betting community has Stat Hero players clocking odds that are 4 times better than some of their competitors. Why? Because you don't have to compete against thousands of experts or unknowns. Stat Hero puts you in control. With Stat Hero, you're in control of the stakes. You decide how much you're going to play for, and Stat Hero has no choice but to take it because they are daring you to beat them. Stat Hero head-to-head is daily fantasy the way it should be, one-on-one. Sign up for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code LOCKEDON. You're going to get a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% match. stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions apply. Titans fans, we are going to continue this Victory Friday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast with a little tighten up, tighten down, where I go over the best individual performances and the worst individual performances from the Titans on the night. Excited to dive into it. Before I do, want to thank you guys again for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen every day. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you do stream. But number one, the first tighten up. Take that, haters. Ryan Tannehill, 22 for 29, 209 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 rushes, 22 yards, including that huge scramble to set up the game-winning field goal. No, Ryan Tannehill wasn't perfect. I thought in the first half, there were a couple times where he held the ball a little too long. And you guys have been listening to the show. I'm not somebody who's out there to get Tannehill. I've been defending Tannehill during this stretch where he's been working with practice squad wide receivers and terrible protection. But in the second half, the Titans gave Tannehill just a little bit of protection, and he was firing in rockets. Even in the first half, a couple completions that he really just made plays. He made the throws. And I do want to say, big credit. So you see Aaron Rodgers every week for the Green Bay Packers. When he draws the defense off sides, he gets a free play. He takes it, he bombs it, and sees what he can do with it. The Titans, as a team, their general philosophy has been under Mike Vrabel. When a guy jumps off sides, the offensive lineman is just supposed to react and touch him. This was the first time that I can remember in the Mike Vrabel era where the Titans took the offsides and turned it into a free play. And that's when they bombed the ball down the field to A.J. Brown. So great awareness for Ryan Tannehill. The Titans weren't going to run a play as the third quarter was ending. The clock was running down. The Titans were just trying to draw them all sides. And they did, and Tannehill capitalized. Just a big play to flip the field for the Titans. So it wasn't beautiful for Ryan Tannehill. It wasn't perfect. He wasn't Rodgers, Mahomes, Brady out there. But he was exactly who the Tennessee Titans need him to be, and he stepped up that touchdown pass to A.J. Brown was a bullet. Woo! Just a great throw, a ballsy throw from Ryan Tannehill. So excellent stuff. Don't want to hear anything from the Tannehill haters this week. And then, of course, who else to go to next but A.J. Brown, Arthur Juan, welcome back, my guy. The Titans should sit him. The Titans should. Oh man, I just put in the reverse jinx like a king. I'm the reverse jinx king of the Titans community, baby. 11 catches, 145 yards, 1 touchdown, and he just dominated that touchdown drive in the end of the third quarter, or in the beginning of the fourth quarter. He just dominated the drive, got the Titans their second touchdown, put them up 17-10, really put the pressure on the 49ers. Just absolutely baller, superstar X Factor type stuff from A.J. Brown. And nobody else on the Titans, in terms of receiving, really did anything worth note. I mean, Julio Jones was a ghost out there, had 1 catch for 7 yards, but I'm telling you, just his presence really helps everything out. Anthony Ferguson had the 1 catch for 13 yards, but on a big third down, the Titans needed that. And look at that. Pete Werner, the linebacker for the 49ers, was backed up way too far because he was worried about A.J. Brown going over the middle of the field, and it let Ferguson be open. Who would have thunk that when the Titans have NFL superstars out on the field, it opened things up for all of these role players? Ugh. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. So, good stuff having A.J. Brown out there. I mean, Westbrook-Akina had 2 catches for 38 yards, and that's the second highest receiver on the night. So this was all A.J. Brown taking over, along with Ryan Tannehill getting the ball to him. Continuing on offense, we got to talk about Dylan Radins, man. We got to talk about Lord Radins. Let's go, the God of thunder and lightning. Woo! Man, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. They had to move Nick Bosa from Dylan Radins' side to Quessenberry. Okay, and listen, we gotta talk about this too. If Radins is that serviceable, let's be honest here. It's not like he's like an all-pro that was sitting on the bench. But if he's that serviceable at left tackle, why is this man not playing over Quessenberry, who's been the worst right tackle in the NFL this season? What are you guys doing? Let the kid play. Man, Dylan Radins, he did give up a sack. He did have 2 penalties. He had a false start. He had a low block penalty, which I actually don't think the low block penalty was his fault. He probably called the cut block to Aaron Brewer, and Brewer should know not to engage with the defender because Radins is cutting him, and that would be a penalty. So I really don't think that was Radins' fault, but maybe Radins didn't communicate the cut block. He is still a rookie getting his first start. Who knows what happened there, but I'm not just going to kill him for that. So he had 2 penalties. He did give up a sack for sure that I can recall. It was against 94. I think that's Armstead. Not for certain. Don't lock me down to that. But overall, I mean, Dylan freaking Radins. I'm doing a film breakdown article on Radins. I mean, I got some time tomorrow. If the all-22, I might not even need the all-22. Either way, Radins is going to get some love from me either at the beginning of next week or on Friday because, my God, what a performance from the rookie in his first NFL start of his career in a crazy spot against a good defensive line. I mean, I'm out of words. Dylan Radins, baby. Let's go. The kid can play. We got our answer tonight. I mean, that was my most excited thing heading into the game with the way the pass protection was looking, was watching Radins play, and boy, did he deliver. I thought Nate Davis had a good game. When the Titans scored their first touchdown of the day, they had 2 big Jeremy McNichols runs, and Nate Davis was just clearing people out. Not only that, but Dylan Radins gave Nick Bosa the business on those 2 long runs for Jeremy McNichols before the first touchdown. Woo! I mean, I was just in bliss. I don't know how else to explain it. It was orgasmic watching that offensive line block on those few couple of runs, despite it being a tough day to run the ball in general for the Titans. Moving away from offense, Nate Davis, Dylan Radins on the offensive line, tighten up. Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry, Bud Dupree, Naquan Jones, Harold Landry didn't have a huge game. They were chipping him with tight ends, but you got to give credit to Jeffrey Simmons, who just made some big plays at the line of scrimmage, despite only having 2 tackles. Landry only had 3 tackles, but still had a pretty good day. Danico Autry, 3 tackles, tackle for loss, had a sack. Bud Dupree, 4 tackles, tackle for loss, had a sack. I mean, those guys just played a great game. Good stuff there up front. The Titans needed those plays. Rashaan Evans led the Titans in tackles. 7 tackles on the day. Should have had an interception, but I thought overall Evans played a pretty good game. Got to give credit to Jackrabbit for the interception in the end zone. I mean, that was just huge. Also, didn't see much from George Kittle in the second half, did you? I didn't. And Kittle had 2 catches for 21 yards. You want to know why? Because the Titans went heavy man coverage in the second half once they got a little bit of stuff going on offense. And they had Jayon Brown as a robber zone defender and Dane Cruikshank manning up, double teaming George Kittle every single big play. So great adjustment there by the Titans. We are not letting George Kittle beat us in this game. Jayon and Shank, tighten up for you guys. Amani Hooker, the big interception, a great job from him. Really needed that. We're going to get into the last Titan up here in a second, but Amani Hooker, good interception. The Titans needed it. Of course, Brett Kern had a really good punt, despite the fact the 49ers drove 95 yards and turned it into a touchdown. Nice to see Kern pin somebody deep in the 20-yard line. On the day, Brett Kern had 5 punts, 46 yards, 2 of them inside the 20, and that 59-yard bomb. Had a tough first half, so to see him bounce back and have a great punt there at the end, good to see. Bulletproof Bullock, baby. 2 for 2 on his field goals. 2 for 2 on his extra points. 4 for 4 on the night with the game winner. Bulletproof Bullock. You got a home here, Randy. You got a home here. My final Titan up of the day, Jimmy G. Woo, man, he had some horrific throws. I mean, an outside throw on a 4th down. He had 2 interceptions. That one in the end zone was just terrible. 26 for 35, 322, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. This is why the 49ers want to run the ball, because when you put the ball in the hands of Jimmy Garoppolo, despite that good drive to tie it at the end, it just wasn't enough for the 49ers in the end, and Garoppolo made too many mistakes in the game that helped the Titans out and get off the schneid that they were on in the first half. As for the Titan downs, not a lot of them, because I don't want to spend a lot of time being negative here, but Fulton did not have a good game. He kept falling. He fell down 3 times. Get some new cleats, man. I mean, whatever you got to do. Deebo Samuel went off on Fulton. He had 9 catches, 159 yards. Now, excuse me, not every catch was on Fulton, but enough of them were. And the big one at the end that set up the 49ers for the game-tying touchdown, that was on Fulton and man coverage as well. So Fulton really struggled with the physicality of Deebo Samuel in this game. It was crazy to watch Deebo and A.J. Brown go back and forth against each other like that. They're both such similar players and such good players. It was really fun. Deebo's really good at football. Racey McMath, why is Racey McMath on the field on big 3rd downs? He literally knocked into A.J. Brown on one of the sacks that Tannehill took because it was supposed to be a quick slant and man coverage to A.J. Brown, and McMath literally ran into him. With A.J. Brown and Julio back, there's no reason that Racey McMath should be out on the field at wide receiver on 3rd downs, but that has to do with our last Titan down. And then Aaron Brewer, I thought, had a tough game. He gave up 2 sacks in this game. I thought he got beat in some run plays. A pretty tough game for him. Need to see more going forward. But the final Titan down that I really want to spend time on, and I'm taking you guys behind the curtain. I got to take my notepad down because I take pretty, excuse me, intense notes during the game. And I just want to go through a couple of things that stood out to me. The Titans won, but Todd Downing sucked. Okay? He was awful in this game. So let's do this. All right. On the first drive of the game, he calls a terrible screen pass and then runs a draw on 3rd and 16. All right, great. On the second drive of the game, it was a complete embarrassment. The Titans had a pretty good play. They ran duo and 13 personnel and had a pretty good run. Well, he just flipped the formation and ran the same exact play and got 1 yard and then did a jet sweep to A.J. Brown that lost yards. Dude, why do we got to scheme up everything? Just run normal pass plays and throw it to A.J. or Julio. It's that simple. Continuing going. The Titans, once again, had a good run, flipped it, ran the same exact play on 2nd down, except for they ran it to Dylan Radins, who had to block 2 guys, one of them being Nick Bosa. And, of course, he can't block 2 guys at the same time. It was terrible. So that wasn't good from Todd Downing either. Continuing forward, there was a running back. So it's the 5th offensive drive. It's 2nd and 15. Todd Downing calls a read option to Ryan Tannehill on 2nd and 15. That play is for short yardage. What do you think is going to happen? Then the Titans get a 3rd down conversion to A.J. Brown, a good one, and Todd Downing runs a 2nd down swing pass to the running back, and then a 3rd down screen pass to Jeremy McNichols. What are we doing here, Todd? What are we doing? Not only that, but to continue going forward, there were multiple plays out there where it's Racey McMath, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and Jeff Swaim, and they're in shotgun. You're running a screen or a draw, dude. Okay, it's first down. You got two tight ends in with Racey McMath and Nick Westbrook-Akina. It's a run play. Todd was telegraphing his personnel groupings all night long, and the defense, based on the personnel, knows what the play is going to be. You cannot telegraph your personnel like that. So A.J. Brown and Ryan Tannehill saved Todd Downing. Dylan Radins saved Todd Downing from a terribly called game. Horrible. Even though the Titans came back and won, we got to be honest here, and Todd Downing was awful. Just awful. And that's why they didn't score a single point in the first half. The Titans were playing scared, but if you're going to play scared because you don't want to turn over the ball, but you're going to end up with 0 points anyway, then play aggressive anyways. If you got 0 points, the plan isn't working. And I'm glad that Todd did make some adjustments in the second half, started just throwing the ball down the field, trying to make plays, running regular pass plays. But man, that was just a despicable display in the first half and even into the second half. But of course, again, A.J. Brown, the Titans superstars, despite the coaching, found a way to win this game. So an extra long and deservedly so Locked On Titans Victory Friday. I'm going to be back with you guys in just a second. We're going to talk about the AFC games that we need to be paying attention to. Going to talk about the Pro Bowl snubs that the Titans had. Also, going to talk a little bit more about my incredible superhuman ability to reverse jinx this team into wins. Before we get into it, do want to tell you guys about betonline.ag. BetOnline.ag has you covered this holiday season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. It's the number one spot to bet on all your sports action this holiday season. Head to their website right now on your desktop or your mobile device. Sign up and use the promo code Locked On. That's one word, Locked On. You're going to get a 15% or a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. They have football, college and pro basketball, NHL, boxing, even UFC, and your favorite Vegas casino games. So head to BetOnline right now. It's the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Titans fans, let's cap off this Victory Friday edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We're going to look at the AFC slate for the rest of the weekend that the Titans need to pay attention to now that they've gotten a big win here against San Francisco. We're going to talk about the Pro Bowl snubs for a second, talk about the Titans magic number, my superhuman reverse jinx abilities, all that just to cap off the show as we're I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am just high off victory right now. What an incredible, incredible finish. Shout out to my buddy Keaton, who was in the crowd sending videos all night. Sad San Francisco fans all over the stadium. Absolutely hilarious. But talking about the AFC now. So the Titans sit at 10-5. Kansas City is at 10-4. They play Pittsburgh at home this weekend in Kansas City, but they might be without Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce due to COVID. So I don't think that it's crazy that the Steelers could find a way to win that game against Kansas City. Very unlikely, I admit, but it could happen. It's more likely than if the Chiefs had Tyreek and Travis Kelce, right? Then there's no way that it's happening. So, hey, you never know. It could happen. And all the Titans have to do is be tied with Kansas City at the end of the year in terms of record because they have the head-to-head tiebreaker and they're going to have the conference tiebreaker as well. New England playing against Buffalo. And I know that Buffalo hasn't been playing their best football as of late. But I still think that New England is a tad overrated. They played a bit over their head. And I also still think that Buffalo is a better team than the way that they have played lately. So I think that there's a good chance that Buffalo will beat New England in New England. If both those things happen, that means Kansas City's 10-5, tied with the Titans. But again, the tiebreaker there. New England goes to 9-6. And the Titans would have the number one seed at the end of the weekend. Just insane that could happen, but it's absolutely a possibility. And I think that the Titans have a great chance of winning their final two games of the year. Mike Vrabel is 7-0 when he gets extra preparation in season, whether that be coming off a Thursday night football game where you get the 10 days or off of a bye. So Mike Vrabel 7-0 going in that game against Miami with extra preparation at home. The Titans should absolutely win that game. And then they got to get revenge on Houston at the end of the season in Houston. There's no reason in the world the Titans should lose that game. So great chance the Titans finish their season on a 3-game winning streak, head into the playoffs. Derrick Henry back, A.J. Brown back, Julio Jones there, Bud Dupree back, the entire team back together, ready to roll on a Super Bowl run. It is absolutely possible. And that brings me to the Titans' magic number. Now, the magic number is 1. If the Colts lose one game the rest of the way, or if the Titans win one game in their last 2 weeks, they clinch the AFC South. Now, of course, we just talked about the Titans wanting more than that and being able to get more than that potentially with some help. But more importantly than anything, want to make sure the Titans clinch the AFC South. So watching Indy maybe lose at Arizona this week could be really big. Arizona just lost to the Lions, though, so I'm not super confident in that game, but would be nice to see Arizona get things together and beat Indianapolis and take them out of contention to come back in the division. And quite frankly, Indy's going to be a tough team to knock out in the playoffs as well. So if they lose that game against Arizona, not only are they done in the division, but they might struggle to even make the wild card. And I think that's best for everyone. Moving forward, though, that's kind of what the slate looks like for the Titans this weekend, what we got to pay attention to as we get to Christmas. The Pro Bowl. So the only Titan that made the Pro Bowl was Kevin Byard, and that is absolutely asinine. Jeffrey Simmons should be a Pro Bowler. He was the number 2 interior defensive lineman in Pro Bowl voting in the conference by the fans. He was the number 1 guy in the AFC. If the fans got it right, how did the league not get it right? Jeffrey Simmons has been better than Chris Jones. Jeffrey Simmons has been better than Cam Hayward. That's legacy votes. That's nonsense. Jeffrey Simmons has been the second best interior defensive lineman in the NFL this year behind Aaron Donald. The only other guy that I'd be willing to put up there is like a DeForest Buckner from Indianapolis. But that should still give Jeffrey Simmons room to make the Pro Bowl. Absolute nonsense. Harold Landry didn't get it either. Absolutely ludicrous. One of the top sack guys in the NFL this year. Just nonsense. This is just Tennessee Titans bias because they don't play in a big market. They aren't one of the beloved teams like the Steelers or sorry, I'm in it. Or the Chiefs. It's really late too. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning where I'm at, but I'm loving it. I am loving it. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But either way, just absolute nonsense. The Titans had 7 alternates for the Pro Bowl. So if the Titans don't go to the Super Bowl, we'll probably see some more Titans make it in. Probably Simmons, probably Landry. Ola Adaney got second somehow. He should have made it. Morgan Cox, the long snapper also. There are some other Titans in there as well, but overall, just asinine that Simmons didn't make it. That's truly, absolutely ridiculous. But it's the Pro Bowl, and I'd rather the Titans be playing in the Super Bowl than the Pro Bowl. They'll make their mark there. Finally, I've told you guys all show long, dunk on me. Go ahead. I picked the Titans to lose. I didn't think the offense would be able to come around, and I was right for a half, but I am happy to be wrong. And obviously, A.J. Brown should have played, needed him to play, all of that. Either way, just wanted to give you guys free reign to get your digs in on me. But as I always say, I'd rather be wrong and the Titans win than my take be right. But I'm going to continue breaking down this game next week. Things are going to be a little jumbled up with the schedule, but Monday, I'll dive into everything that took place over the weekend in the NFL. We will talk about, what's next for the Titans. I'll probably have more to talk about on this game. Going to try to get into the film over the weekend, but it is the Christmas holiday, so I'll do everything I can, but I got 3-hour trips to make and a lot of stuff going on Saturday, on Sunday, as all of you guys do, and that brings me to my final point. I hope you guys all have a happy holiday, a safe and Merry Christmas. I hope you're able to be around friends, family, whoever it may be. Really appreciate all the support you guys give me, all the comments on YouTube, even the ones that aren't as nice as the others. I'm just absolutely blessed to be able to do this, to cover this team, to be able to pay my bills talking about football. And it's all because of you guys. It's all because of the support you give me, all the love that you guys show. At the end of the day, I'm just a guy, just a fan of the team like you guys. And to have the support that I get from the fan base to make this the number one rated Tennessee Titans podcast on Apple iTunes, on, all the podcast charts from Chartables and all that. I mean, it's surreal. It's surreal. The best Christmas present that I could get every single year is your guys' continued support and love. So thank you all so much. Again, have a safe and merry, happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy holidays in general. Whatever you celebrate, if you don't celebrate at all, doesn't matter. Just have a safe and enjoyable weekend. What an incredible win for our Tennessee Titans. I'm going to be back with you guys on Monday, Sunday night. I know the YouTube crowd gets really mad when I get the days wrong, but either way, I'll be back with you guys. Enjoy your Christmas. That's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.